What the craziest trade proposal in Toronto Maple Leafs history is actually the smartest chess move Brad Treliving could make right now. Let me paint you a picture that's been keeping hockey analysts up at night and sending Leafs Nation into an absolute frenzy. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, checking your phone, and seeing the notification that Matthew Knies, the 23-year-old power forward who's become a fan favorite, the guy who embodies everything Toronto wants in a homegrown star, has been traded straight up 1-for-1 for Quinn Hughes. Not a rental, not a cap dump with sweeteners. Just Knies for Hughes. Two elite players swapping jerseys in what will be the most controversial blockbuster trade in recent NHL memory. Your first reaction is probably shock, maybe even anger. How could you trade Matthew Knies? He's putting up 26 points in 23 games this season. He's signed long-term at a team-friendly cap hit. He's everything you want in a modern power forward. But here's where this proposal, which surfaced this week on December 3rd, 2025, from Bleacher Report and was thoroughly dissected by the hockey writers, gets absolutely fascinating. Because when you look past emotional attachment and dive into the cold, hard mathematics of winning a Stanley Cup, this trade starts to make a terrifying amount of sense. The beauty of this proposal lies in something that rarely happens in today's NHL, a perfect financial match. Quinn Hughes carries a cap hit of $7.85 million through 2027. Matthew Knies, after signing his 6-year extension in July 2025, carries a cap hit of $7.75 million. The difference? $100,000. That's not a rounding error. That's basically identical. There's no salary retention required, no complicated 3-team gymnastics, no dumping bad contracts to make the money work. It's clean, it's simple, and from a pure cap management perspective, it's beautiful. But let's talk about why Vancouver would even consider this. Because on the surface, trading a Norris Trophy caliber defenseman for a winger seems insane. Quinn Hughes is one of the best defensemen in the NHL, a dynamic playmaker who controls games from the blue line, a guy who makes everyone around him better. Why would the Canucks ever move him? The answer is fear, pure and simple. Hughes becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2027, and his brothers Jack and Luke play in New Jersey. The whispers have already started about a family reunion, about Quinn wanting to join his brothers with the Devils. Vancouver has seen this movie before. They've watched star players leave in free agency, and they're terrified it's going to happen again. So the Canucks face an impossible choice. Do they hold on to Hughes, hope they can convince him to stay, and risk losing him for absolutely nothing in 2 years? Or do they make the painful but pragmatic decision to trade him now, while his value is at its absolute peak, for a player who could anchor their franchise for the next decade? And that's where Matthew Knies becomes not just a consolation prize, but potentially the best return they could possibly get. Let's talk about what Matthew Knies has become this season, because this isn't about potential anymore. This is about production. In 23 games, he's put up 6 goals and 20 assists for 26 points. That's over a point per game, and for a power forward who also brings physicality, defensive responsibility, and playoff-style hockey every single night. That's elite production. He's 23 years old. He's locked up until 2031, and he's already producing at a level that most teams would kill for from their top-line wingers. For Vancouver, getting a player like that in return for Hughes isn't settling. It's potentially setting themselves up for long-term success. Hannah Stewart from Bleacher Report admits the trade sounds absurd at first glance, but argues that the financial and talent mathematics make it too plausible to ignore. And she's right. In a league where cap space is king and long-term contracts are both assets and liabilities, Finding two players of this caliber with nearly identical cap hits who fill each other's needs is incredibly rare. It's the kind of hockey trade that GMs dream about but rarely get to execute. Jesse Corville-Lynch, writing for the Hockey Writers, put it bluntly, given how talented Matthew Knies is, his youth, and their cap hits being quite close, I can see GM Jim Rutherford agreeing to make this trade 1-for-1 rather than doing the math to bring in extra assets. That's not just speculation. That's a recognition that in the right circumstances, with the right fears motivating Vancouver and the right desperation driving Toronto, this trade could actually happen. But let's be realistic about what a trade would actually look like. Because while the 1-for-1 swap is fun to debate and makes for great headlines, the reality of the NHL suggests Vancouver would demand significantly more. The Canucks are struggling this season with a record of 10-14-3, sitting near the bottom of their division. If they're going to trade Quinn Hughes, they need volume, they need futures, they need a package that helps them rebuild quickly, and that package would be massive. The realistic trade proposal outlined in the analysis would look something like this. Matthew Knies as the centerpiece, obviously. Then you add Ben Danford, Toronto's first-round pick from 2024, a defensive prospect with legitimate top-pairing upside, who could eventually replace what Hughes brings. Nick Robertson goes in to add more young forward depth and scoring potential. And then the draft picks start flying. A first-round pick in 2028, a second-round pick in 2027, another second-round pick in 2029. That's not just emptying the cupboard. That's burning down the entire kitchen. Brad Treliving would be trading the present in Matthew Knies, the immediate future in Nick Robertson, and the distant future in Ben Danford and multiple draft picks, all for one player. When you lay out like that, it sounds insane. It sounds like the kind of move that gets GMs fired when it doesn't work out. But here's the thing, when that one player is Quinn Hughes, when you're getting a defenseman who controls the game like nobody since Bobby, or the question stops being, is this too expensive, and starts being, can we afford not to do this? Let's talk about what Quinn Hughes would bring to Toronto, because this isn't just about adding good defensemen. This is about fundamentally transforming how the Maple Leafs play hockey. Despite Vancouver's struggles this season, Hughes has been absolutely dominant, putting up 22 points with 2 goals and 20 assists in 21 games. He's in the prime of his career, he's at the peak of his powers, and he's doing it on a team that's giving him almost no support. Now imagine Quinn Hughes in a Maple Leafs uniform. Imagine him starting the breakout to Auston Matthews, Mitch Marner, and William Nylander. The speed with which Toronto would transition from defense to offense would be absolutely terrifying for opponents. Teams wouldn't be able to forecheck aggressively because one pass from Hughes, and suddenly Matthews is flying up ice with speed. The neutral zone, which has been a problem area for Toronto in playoff series, will become a highway with Hughes directing traffic. The power play transformation would be even more dramatic. Right now, Toronto's power play is good. It's been good for years, but it's also somewhat predictable. Teams know Matthews is getting a shot. They know where Marner is going to set up. They can game plan accordingly. Add Quinn Hughes to that unit, and suddenly you've got a quarterback who can distribute from the point with surgical precision, who can walk the blue line and create shooting lanes, who can jump into the rush and create odd man situations. The Leafs' power play wouldn't just be good, it would be historically elite. Defensively, Hughes brings something Toronto has desperately lacked: elite mobility. The Leafs have been beaten in playoff series by fast, skilled teams who can attack with speed and create chaos. Hughes can skate with anyone in the league. He can close gaps. He can recover when he gets beat, and he can move the puck out of danger quickly and efficiently. Pair him with Jake McCabe or Chris Tanev, and you've got a shutdown pairing that can match up against any top line in the NHL. But we need to talk about the elephant in the room, because there's a massive risk with this trade that can't be ignored. Quinn Hughes becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2027. That means Toronto would get 2 guaranteed years with him. 2 playoff runs, 2 chances to win the Stanley Cup. After that, he could walk away for nothing, potentially to join his brothers in New Jersey. That's the nightmare scenario. Trading away Matthew Knies and a massive package of futures for 2 years of Quinn Hughes, only to watch him leave and see Knies become a Hall of Famer in Vancouver. But here's the counter-argument, and it's a powerful one. 2 years of Quinn Hughes in his prime might be worth more than 10 years of good but not great defense. If the Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup in 2026 or 2027 with Hughes quarterbacking the blue line, does anyone in Toronto care that he left afterward? Championships justify everything. They erase all the second-guessing, all the what-ifs, all the concerns about the future. One Stanley Cup parade down Yonge Street would make this trade worth it, even if Hughes walks away the next day. And let's be honest about Toronto's championship window. Auston Matthews is 28 years old. William Nylander is 29. Mitch Marner's contract situation is uncertain beyond this season. John Tavares is in the twilight of his career. This isn't a team that can afford to wait for prospects to develop or for the perfect opportunity to come along. This is a team that needs a win now, and now means the next 2 seasons while the core is still in their prime. Quinn Hughes gives them the best possible chance to do that. Morgan really has been a wonderful servant to this franchise, a heart and soul player who's given everything he has. But he's not a number 1 defenseman on a Stanley Cup contender. And that's not a criticism. It's just reality. The Leafs have been trying to win championships with a defense core that would rank 3rd or 4th best in their own division. That's not good enough, and everyone knows it. Quinn Hughes would instantly become the best defenseman in franchise history since Bort Soming, and that's not hyperbole. That's just acknowledging his elite talent. The emotional cost of trading Matthew Knies cannot be understated. He's not just a good player. He's a symbol of everything Toronto wants to be. He's homegrown, he's tough, he's skilled, he plays the right way, and the fans absolutely love him. Trading him would hurt in a way that's different from trading a rental or a mercenary. This would be ripping out a piece of the team's heart, and there would be fans who would never forgive Brad Treliving for it. But general managers aren't paid to make popular decisions. They're paid to make winning decisions. And if Treliving looks at his roster and determines that the only thing standing between this team and a Stanley Cup is a true number 1 defenseman, then he has to be willing to make the unpopular move. He has to be willing to trade the fan favor for the player who actually solves the problem. That's what separates good GMs from great ones. The willingness to make the hard call even when it's going to be criticized. The comparison to other blockbuster trades is inevitable.